I have not met an employee that does not have a smile on their face towards the residents and all guests and visitors. Um, it's the caring, kind, respectful, um, friendly family nature.
Hi, I'm Agnes Stewicki, Managing Editor with Comfort Life. We're speaking with insiders from Canada's leading retirement communities and care providers to uncover insights to community lifestyle, care, culture, and leadership. This includes insights from residents, family members, and administration. This is the Comfort Life Insider Perspective.
I really appreciate how the staff treat all the residents as if they're family. They respect them as elders at their age, but they sincerely care about them. They like them. You can see that. It's evident in their how they communicate with them. It's evident in the daily activities, in all aspects of the being at the Roxborough where my dad lives. It's a family. That's how I look upon it more than anything else. And many of the staff have been there for quite a long period of time. So they've developed and built a tremendous relationship, not only with the residents, but the residents' family members as well. So that's first and foremost in my mind. Well, prior to my dad moving from their home in Burlington, I could see his health deteriorating. He was 88 years old at the time. And when he moved to Newmarket, he first wasn't at the Roxborough. He was at another location for just a year. But when the Roxborough opened, we wanted to move him. He wanted to move closer to where my mom was staying at South Lake Village, which is a long-term care home. And um, when he moved in there, I just saw it's almost as if a light came on. He started being much more active with individuals, participants, doing activities, and seeing his whole demeanor changed. The color of his skin, the he put on a little bit of weight, which he needed, and I just saw an amazing growth in him, even at that elderly age. It was wonderful to see. It was, as I said, it was like a light that came on, and his desire to continue living and moving forward and enjoying life as best as possible. So that really comes through for me. Well, I remember going to the Roxborough right during construction, and seeing the plans and what was going to be provided. And um, everything is just top notch. I know they recently did a renovation. Well, maybe not that recent, but they did an update. They're constantly updating, making sure that the facilities provide the best for the residents, to provide the best life that the residents can enjoy. They have a Roxy bar in there where they gather. They have games. They have the pool room, not swimming pool, but the pool table or the billiards table, which Dad enjoys. Um, the theater, the arts and craft room. Um, the dining room is wonderful with linens and beautifully decorated and comfortable chairs. It's just top notch in my mind and in my dad's opinion. Dad actually calls it the Taj Mahal. That's the name he gave that about 8 years, 9 years ago. His suite is on the third floor. He didn't want anything too large, as he knew that my mom would not be able to stay with him. And so he has a lovely corner unit, and it's quiet because it overlooks the beautiful courtyard that the gardens are maintained, and beautiful flowers and trees and plants, and a gazebo where residents can go and sit and enjoy the outdoors and protected from the sun. It's just lovely. And Dad, being a avid gardener over the years, always enjoys. He sits on his balcony and he's got that lovely view, and it's a quiet area. He doesn't face the street, which can be, I guess, noisier, but Dad's room is very, very quiet, and it's ideal for his needs. Has a bedroom, bathroom, living area, and a little tiny kitchenette, and it works for him perfectly. He does not want to leave. Well, uh, I think the biggest thing, not just for my dad, but for many, many seniors, is social interaction. Individuals that are alone do not have the opportunity, obviously, to interact with peers their age due to health reasons, ability, mobility. Um, so being in a facility of this nature, where residents are of the same mind, of the same, um, mindset, I guess is the main thing. They have a chance to meet and socialize with other individuals, and that's key. And during COVID, when when Roxborough, as many places, were in complete lockdown, it was very, very difficult for many, many individuals. As we know, look what happened in so many of the nursing homes and in retirement facilities. And so I see that was a challenge for my dad and for many of the residents. So knowing they've got the social interaction, they have the games that they can participate in, they can do puzzles, they can do cards, they can do physical activities, exercise, they go to movies, they have performances, concerts. I myself and my girlfriend, we've gone and performed there a number of times for entertainment. And I truly believe that's what gives the seniors purpose and a reason for getting up every day. There is something different to see and something different to do. And if they choose not to partake, nobody forces them, but it is encouraged because they know how beneficial it is for their physical and mental well-being. I don't know if I can say he's changed. He can still be very opinionated. Oh, fitness level has skyrocketed. Um, Even when he's not participating in some of the fitness classes, and we know that they're slowly coming back into practice again, and as the rules and restrictions are opening up, are loosening, he would still sit in his lazy boy chair and he would do leg lifts on a regular basis. He says, I got to keep that core strong. So he's he stays active that way. And even when they were not allowed to have meals in the dining room, but they could leave their rooms, and they would have meals in their rooms, but he could get out. He would walk the hall back and forth the length of the whole entire third floor, and he would do that sometimes 3-4 times a day just to get up and keep moving. So it's helped him that way, as I said. And then he goes outside and walks, and that's been a big saving grace, having the courtyard out there that the residents can use, and he uses it like nobody else. He's out there regularly. When all of this COVID happened, and I heard about Captain Tom in England walking 100 lengths of his backyard, my wheels started turning, and I approached my dad because I knew he likes to be physically active. And I said, Dad, would you be willing to walk for COVID research to help raise funds and to raise money. And he said, by all means, but what do I do? So I suggested, how about you try to walk 100 kilometers prior to your 100th birthday. And he turned 100 on April 14th of this year. And he said, that's not a bad idea. It gave him a purpose. It gave him a reason to get up and accomplish a goal. Megan Solomine, who is one of the employees at the Roxborough, she calculated and she found out that doing the lap of the courtyard 15 times equaled 1 kilometer. The kilometers added up. He was a little apprehensive at first. He thought 100 kilometers, that's a lot to walk. But it went so quickly that he was able to reach his 100-kilometer goal by September 2nd of last year. And we didn't start this until April of 2020. By September 2nd of 2020, he'd reached his 100 kilometers.
How much has he raised so far?
$180,000. And when the national news came out, I couldn't believe it. There's my dad walking across the finish line. He had his walker. He had 2 Canadian flags on his walker that I had put in, had a Canadian cap, and he put it over his heart as if to say, thank you to Canada. I'm getting emotional. And we have tough times, but we can get through this. And if we persevere with determination and heart and spirit, we'll survive. And my dad often says that he just happened to always take the correct or the right fork in the road. We laugh and say he has 9 lives because there's so many times that he shouldn't have survived. But he did, and it's a miracle. He's done remarkably well, and that's why he said, it's almost like his life has come full circle, and saying, how is it that I can live in this beautiful facility now? He's in awe. He is so thankful. He's thankful to the Canadian people. He's thankful to Canada. And that was why the hat came off over his heart, because of his gratitude for this nation. Well, as I said earlier, I think it goes back to the caring nature. I have not met an employee that does not have a smile on their face towards the residents and all guests and visitors. It's the caring, kind, respectful, friendly family nature, and that comes through. And if people are feeling that they are cared about and that they're valued, that gives them a purpose. It gives them a reason. They feel like I count. Nobody wants to feel undervalued, and every one of them feel that way. They all the time. Dad says, I just don't know how I got so lucky. And yes, he feels bad because he doesn't remember all the girls' names that are serving in the dining room. He says, I can't keep track. And I said, Dad, it's okay. You're 100. You don't have to. But they know that you are appreciative. And not only that, like, they know that Dad can't drink anything cold or eat anything cold. So when his water comes, it's room temperature. They know that about him. They remember that, and they share that with new employees. So, oh no, you can't give that gentleman cold water. He does not eat ice cream. Even his yogurt's warmed up. Even his salad is at room temperature. And that means the word. He says they actually remember that. Like, and there's so many people to feed, but they remember that about me. And that's what makes him feel special. So. He calls it home, and that's his home. He does not look upon it as this is where you've moved me. This is my home, he says. And that speaks volumes. So if he's happy, I'm happy. I'm an only child, and all you want is your parents to be happy and live out their retirement years and their elderly years being happy. And yes, I live 2 hours away from him, and it is a bit of a drive, but I'm willing to do it. We talk daily, if not 3 times a day. Um, so knowing that he's comfortable and he's looked after, and that the Roxboroughs does everything to make himself and the other residents um, cared for and feel special, then of course I'm comfortable with that too. And he wants to live out his days at the Roxborough, and we'll do everything we can to make that possible. So yeah,
Okay.
so I'm very content. Well, they should definitely. I'm not saying don't do your research. That's understandable, but it is a retirement home that um, I can honestly say, um, don't ignore it. Definitely inquire. Um, take the tour. Go for a meal, um, and make sure you want to make sure that this is exactly ideal for your loved ones or your loved one. Ask to see the rooms and the various suites, because they are different. There's different sizes, so they accommodate everybody. But I know that the Roxborough has gone out of their way, especially during COVID, to make sure that everyone is safe, and they've done so remarkably well. And yes, it was hard, and yes, there was unhappiness, but they did what they had to do to keep everybody. So definitely check it. That's all I can say. I don't think you'll be disappointed in any way. um, I think the main thing is, ask your loved ones, what do they want? What do they expect to experience from at a retirement facility? I know that my dad was hesitant at first when I brought up the topic of, I think you need to move closer. It's challenging for me to travel to Burlington. That 401 corridor is not fun, and QEW. And I had teenage children at the time that needed me, and I had a full-time job, and it was challenging. But I brought it up, and it was met with some hesitancy. Let's put it that way. And eventually, I think my dad realized that this is probably the best, especially with my mom's failing health. So talk to your family members. What's important to them, and don't make decisions just what you want for them. Take them, if possible, to tour the facility with you, so that they can see what's offered. As I said, have a meal there, meet other people that are living there, have them talk to your loved ones, talk about their experiences. And I think hearing it from peers, roughly in their age bracket, they might be more open to that decision of moving them to a retirement facility. Because I know people will dig in their heels, and I might be one of them too down the road if I make it that far. God willing, I've got good genes from George Marco and Lydia. But uh, yeah, you've got to keep them involved, and ask questions, and don't push them, guide them, I think is. And I had to wait for my dad to finally admit that, yes, I think we need to start looking. And I'm glad we did, because his health was suffering. Well, my mom had been recently moved to South Lake Village long-term care, which is across the street from the Roxborough, right by the South Lake Hospital. And my dad wanted to be closer to my mom. So that was the primary, I think, reason we ended up with Roxborough. Convenience for my dad. He didn't need to drive. He still was driving, but he could just walk, which he did sometimes 3 times a day to go visit my mom. And so that was the primary reason. And then when I saw the Roxborough under construction and talked to Ian Maxwell, who was going to be the general manager at the time when my father moved in, he shared the plans, he shared the various facilities that would be there. And I knew that it would be an ideal setting for my dad. And here we are, we're accomplishing killing 2 birds with 1 stone: convenience to see my mom and comfortable retirement living for my dad. No, I can't think of anything right now. It's just knowing that he would be cared for, and I think just the type of facility that it was going to be. Knowing I like the courtyard idea in the backyard, knowing that residents didn't just have a little balcony to go on, they had the ability to go out and walk and enjoy the courtyard. Convenience for shopping. Dad off, the drugstore's right across the street. There's x-ray facilities, hospitals right there. So location is important for seniors when it becomes a mobility issue. Dad is no longer driving, thank goodness, but he still does get out. He can go pick up medication. He can go to the drugstore. He can go to the hospital if he has an appointment, things like that. So convenience, location is important. Facilities are important. And knowing that he had a balcony he couldn't go and sit on outside, a garage for parking, underground parking, which was, or indoor parking, which is important, especially in the winter time. Residents don't have to clean off their vehicles. So I think I looked at all of those factors, and when they were there and they met the criteria that was important to us. Well, at first he moved to another location before he moved to the Roxborough. So the move went well. We realized that my mom needed the care as soon as possible. And it really was very smooth. My children, my husband, we all pitched in. It was difficult for my parents to part with many of their belongings, but we respected their belongings. We didn't throw things out that we didn't, we tried to sell things that we knew couldn't be used and wouldn't be needed. So overall, it went very, very well. And the transition, because they were together in a 2-bedroom apartment at the other location, it made it easier. I think being together was the most important thing. And then with my children and my parents' grandchildren, they visited them regularly. Being teenagers and knowing that family was close by certainly helped. I think the surprise was the suite and the facilities and the whole building itself. He was thrilled with the food. He did say to me that the food improved, and it was very well done. They're given choices for meals. They got a big star on the wall. I think my dad was one of the first 15 residents to move in. I don't know how many original residents there are, because he moved in the December of the month that winter that the Roxborough opened. So yes, they still acknowledge the original members, and his name's on a gold star there. So he's quite proud of that.
That's pretty cool.
But yeah, no, they made him feel very comfortable. We brought our furniture in and put up pictures of family, and he settled in very, very quickly. Um, I don't think I would change anything. Um, the primary reason goes back to my mom as to why we had to make this decision. If my mom's health was um all right, I think my parents would have managed in their home a little bit longer because they were together and they were active. They were active seniors. They didn't just sit and do nothing. I think the mall was a regular visit to the mall to visit with everybody was a daily afternoon adventure. So they were active and my dad was still golfing. But I think my mom's health deteriorating as quickly as it did was the deciding factor. But I don't think I would change anything. And I think it's opened my eyes to hopefully be willing when and if my children decide, mom and dad, maybe this is time for you to think. And I hope I'm open to their suggestions and not close-minded. But would I change anything? No, I don't think I would. It all went very, very smoothly. Roxborough welcomed dad with open arms, made him feel a member of the family right from the get-go. And it was very small at first. There were, as I said, only 15 people, but then they slowly moved in. So, and now I think it's pretty much at capacity. One employee there said to George, "Thanks, George, your walk has brought in residents," because he's always praising the Roxborough. So bonus, he said. He was happy to hear that. The more, the merrier.
For more information about this community, you can visit their profile at comfortlife.ca.